The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff or management of Visionary-related entertainment.
Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where you'll find us talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's Cabinet and Appliance Showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we're going to share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today, we're going to start off the show talking with Brooke Brown, who is the Executive Director of Nakeki o Emilia. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Susie.
How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
It's been a while.
It has been.
From the calendar that I pulled off of your website, it looks like you've been busy.
We've been super busy, taking off.
Wow. You know, sometimes it takes just enough time to get the word out there, get some success stories, and then poof.
We still have room to grow, but it's happening. It's very exciting.
That's wonderful. Let's talk about what Nakeki o Emilia is and how you got it going.
It's a children's bereavement program, and it's for children 3 to 18 who've had someone they care about die. It can be an Ohana member, a girlfriend, boyfriend, parent, sibling, all of the above. And we do not do therapy. We do not do counseling. These are strictly peer support groups, and we have trained facilitators that run them, that basically keep safe space. And we have two types of groups going right now. One is our evening group, and for that, the price of admission is a child. So that I say that because we've had adults call and want to come, but we've said no, it's about a child. If there's a child involved, bring the child and you can come. Otherwise, we refer them to Hospice Maui. And the adults go in one room and the kids go in another, and meets for an hour and a half, and it's a place where everybody can talk about what's going on in terms of their grief, and the facilitators keep it on track. You know, we start by asking everybody their name and why are you here, who died, and we might throw a question for discussion out, like, well, what's changed in your life since that person died? And that question brings a lot up for children and for the adults. So that's one thing we're doing, and all of our services are free, by the way. It's all no cost, open to everybody. The other thing that's happened is we're going into the schools, and we're now, I think, in 6 schools. It's been quite exciting, and it's been great because a lot of the kids can't get to our evening program. Either their parent has other children to babysit or has another job, different logistical problems. So we decided to go where the kids are. And some of the schools have been really quick to, in fact, I got 2 invitations last week from schools to consider groups, there. And some of the schools have a harder time getting going, I think because they're looking for space. But we just need a room. So I would say to anybody listening, if you feel your child needs a group, check with your school. There may be a group going on already, and if not, talk to them. We're open to it. We have plenty of trained facilitators, and we'd like to cover as much ground as we can. And they've been great. Susie, the New York Life did a study, a huge study. I think the sample was about 5,000 people several years ago, and they were looking at resilience. And they found that the 2 major factors for how resilient a child would be, in other words, how well the child would come through a death 5 years after a death, was whether the child felt they had someone who understood what they were saying, understood what they were going through. And secondly, if a child felt they could express their emotions and what they were feeling.
Interesting.
And our groups provide both of those things. which is really wonderful because almost to the person, with all the school groups, and I've sat in on many of them and led others, the kids will say, this is the only place I can talk about. And that's the person who died. They can't talk at home, especially if the death has been a suicide or an overdose, because there's shame around it, I think, and the parents don't want to, or the surviving parent doesn't want to talk about it, and lots of different reasons. Sometimes the adults just haven't done their own inner work, their own grief work, and they don't want to go there. So they won't go there with their kids.
Constant reminder.
Yeah. And other times they feel like they don't want to mention the person who died because from their perspective, their kids are fine, and they are afraid they're going to upset their kids. Whereas, again, a huge number of kids say to us, I know I look fine, and I put on this face like I'm okay, but inside I'm a long way from being okay. I'm not okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What you talked about? What are the ages again? 5 to
3 to 18.
3 to 18.
Although right now we don't have any little ones. we haven't had any inquiries for about a year and a half. So our youngest right now is 6.
Okay.
And our oldest right now is 16 or 17. But we're looking right now at hopefully starting a separate group for teens, because we're just sort of separating people within the same larger room. But it depends how many we have. It's
right. Now in the schools. Now you're going there during the daytime class time.
Yes.
Or just before they finish class. I noticed there's a couple of sessions that start like at 1:20.
But they usually have something after that.
Oh, okay. So they're there
That's
right on campus.
not the end of the day, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When they start in, do you ever find that somebody wants to come who hasn't lost anyone?
No. We had one student come who hadn't had anybody die, but that was because one of the participants was too upset to come alone and asked the counselor if her friend could accompany her.
I see. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then it turned out that friend needed the group.
Maybe more than the other one.
Well, not
or as
necessarily,
much.
but that child also had a history. It is really unbelievable how much some of these kids are carrying, Susie. It's just unbelievable. Multiple deaths.
Oh, wow.
Multiple deaths. And sometimes in a short period of time, we may get a call because someone died 2 months ago. But then when you talk to the child, you find out, oh yeah, my auntie, my uncle, it goes on. And we're not talking deaths necessarily where it was just peaceful in one's sleep. It might be, an illness. It might have been a suicide. It might have been an automobile accident. Just varying things. And the kids it all just goes in. And one of the things that's really exciting for us as facilitators is to see the difference, because kids will come to these groups and they'll walk in, like the evening group. That's where we really see it. They sort of shuffle in, looking at the ground, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. And they probably would be, except, the adult has played the mom card or whatever and gotten them in. But after a while, they engage. And when they leave an hour and a half later, they're standing tall, they're smiling, laughing, joking with each other. It's a different animal than the one who came in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is part of that the fact that maybe they think they're the only one that's gone through this?
Totally. That's one of the other things. When you talk to adults, like I would dare say, if you run into somebody or a friend that had a parent or sibling die when they were young, and you ask them, what was it like for you then? Most of them will say, oh, I felt so alone. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to do through our groups. Not replace the friends that they already have, but help them meet new people so they can form additional friendships with people who have walked that territory and know what grief is.
Every time you come on the show, I think about this as this is something new here on Maui.
Yes.
You started, 3 years ago, 2 years ago.
2.5, yeah.
And I can't help but wonder how many people need your services and think it's just been too long since it happened. I shouldn't need it. I should be over it by now, or I think I'm over it, only to, if they would finally come, see that there's still some pieces there that need to be put together.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there's a way of calculating, a statistic now, and I can say that based on the last census, or actually they're more current figures than that, 2016 rather, there are now 1,908 children under 18 who've had a parent or sibling die.
Is that here in Hawaii?
Maui County.
Oh, in Maui.
Maui County.
1,900.
Yeah, 1,900, approximately. That's huge.
That is.
It's huge. And with Nakekuamalia, we don't have any time requirement on it in any form. People can come as long as they want or as short a time as they want. It's what they feel like. They can come for a while, decide they don't need us anymore, and then maybe in a year or two they come back, and that's fine too, because different things will come up for kids at different ages. When a mother dies when a child's 8, very different from when that child is 15, because maybe there's a mother-son dance, and that just brings up all sorts of grief. And so we don't say that the death has to have happened within the past 2 months or year. We just don't put a time limit on it. And the other thing that we're trying to get people to understand, and this goes for teachers, because very few teachers have had any background or training in children's grief, and it's not uncommon for children to be acting out in classrooms because of unprocessed grief that's surfaced. And when it's up, and they don't recognize it consciously, they won't know why, but
it's just a troubled child.
I had a very astute counselor call me recently and say, the hardest person I'm working with right now had a parent die 5 years ago, and I think it's grief that's happening today. And I said, you're probably on. That child should be in one of our groups. And just to give it a chance to work its way up.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's huge, and you're right.
And of course, now we're going into the holiday season, which brings up a whole nother set of issues for anyone who's lost someone.
And some people have lost their person. I don't really like to say when they've lost them, because I go, it's kind of like, well, where do you look to find them, when their person died, it was during that holiday season, so they're getting a double whammy.
Right.
Really rough.
And you hear people say, when somebody does pass during this time, how sad that it was over the holidays, or Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Eve or something. And it's like, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's sad whenever it happens, but it's like it's going to be a constant reminder now for the next however many years that this is when it happened.
Mm-hmm. And it's a contrast too, because the person who has suffered the death of a parent or somebody close, even if it weren't a holiday season, around that time, it's an anniversary time. In their body, their cells, they are feeling it and carrying it, and they may feel slightly depressed or whatever. So then when you couple it with a holiday, and everybody around is all, be happy and merry, and that is not the way they feel, it makes it harder, because they're going, I just can't do this. I'm not fitting in right now.
So they tend to stay away from the activities, so they don't
Many
either
do.
Stand out or whatever.
Yeah, many do. People find different ways of coping, and that's one of the reasons for these groups too, because there are lots of ways of dealing with grief that are unhealthy.
I was going to say some
Drugs,
are healthy, some are unhealthy.
Alcohol, truancy, any one of these things. I mean, really, I went to this wonderful conference in June, and it was really framed as children's bereavement is a public health issue.
Wow. Interesting.
It is. Because
Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and we'll explore that. Thank you.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, your weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit executive directors to find out what's happening in their world. And here in the first half of the show, we're talking with Dr. Brooke Brown, who is the CEO, you're the executive director. Oh, what the heck? They're all the same, right? KKOM-ALIA, it's the program, not the title. And just before the break, she was talking about a conference that she went to and talked about grief as a public health.
Children's bereavement being a public health issue. And that's because with children who are grieving, many times their grief is not recognized. I wish I had $1 for everybody that said to me, "Oh, he'll be fine," meaning my grandchild, he was just turned 3 when Emilia died. And of course I worry about him. And I'm told, "Oh, children are resilient." I wish I had $1 for every time somebody said that. And that's true, but they're not resilient by themselves. They need support. They need loving community around them. They need to be able to work with their grief, however it manifests.
Right.
And so with these kids, if they're carrying around a lot of grief and it's not given an outlet or by discussing it or whatever, then they go into teens and they're carrying the same thing. Drugs, promiscuity, alcohol, any of that stuff. They grow into depressed adults if they make it. I mean, teen suicide is huge, and we don't know the reasons for a lot of it. But that could be in the mix also. And so then they're adults, and we're looking at, supporting them in terms of treatment programs, or they can't get jobs, they can't hold jobs, any of those things, health problems. It costs us. And not only does it cost society money, it costs us we're losing people who could be vital, contributing members of our community.
Productive members.
Yeah, and they could lead very happy lives. And, sort of sidestepping, Susie, when I was practicing as a psychologist in California, I worked with adults. And so many of the adults who came into me would come in for anxiety, depression, or relationship problems. Relationship problems might be in a current relationship or the fact that they couldn't stay in a relationship. And so many of them traced back to the death of someone, a family member, when they were young. And that person had been a meaningful person in their life. And they'd carry their grief. So when we started working with that, they started feeling better. But what a shame that this person had been living like that for 20, 30 years. So that's what we're trying to avert.
Does that manifest itself in that feeling that there's no sense in making a real relationship because it's liable to change tomorrow? I mean, the other person can be gone.
It can.
Wow.
Yeah.
For those of you out there who are listening, KKOM-ALIA was founded by Dr. Brown based on the death of her daughter when her grandson was 3.
Yep, Emilia died a few days after Kahala's 3rd birthday.
And she saw the effects that it could have. I don't know whether it did or not, but I'm guessing that it probably did, that it had on him, and started checking around to find some help for him.
Well, he's doing well, and I'm happy to say.
Great.
But I had seen all the adults that I'd worked with, as I'd said.
Okay.
And I didn't want that to be his future. And
There
I
you go.
looked around and realized there were just no services. Liliuokalani Trust has some services for the people, the Hawaiian community, but I don't know how often. I don't know if they're meeting every month now or not. I haven't talked to anybody there recently, but I didn't find out about that for quite a while, or I probably would have plugged into it because Kahala is part Hawaiian. But there was a real need for this for all kids to be able to do it. You know, it really can make such a difference in their lives.
Well, yeah.
And I've talked to kids. I've listened to kids on the mainland who've been through such programs, and they'll say, "Oh, saved me. It was just great." You know, along that line. And I mean, Kahala's doing really well. My grandson is. But again, he's held by a loving group of people, and all of us talk about my daughter a lot. You know, I talk about her all the time to him. I'll say, "Oh yeah, she loved blueberries. You know, she'd laugh if she knew you didn't like them." And you know, so she's very much alive. So he knows he can talk about her or anything. He came home from school one day and he said, "Nana, there's a girl in my class who doesn't have a dad." So that told me he's starting to notice what kids do and what kids don't. But the fact that he could bring it home and talk about it's a real healthy thing. But my point earlier was that not all households are that open or accessible in terms of talking about the person who died.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I know my niece lost her mother, who was my sister, when she was 3.5 to breast cancer. And basically, in those 3.5 years of her life, her mother was never really healthy. And so, I mean, my sister did as much as she could with her because she knew she wasn't going to make it through it. At least I believe that's what was going on. But it took her until she was basically out of college before she started asking questions about her mom. Mm-hmm. You know, we'd try to comment about this or that, and you could see she going to shy away from it, change the subject, whatever. But now it's like almost every time she calls me, she says, "What would Mom do?"
Oh, interesting.
You know, or
Interesting.
you know, you were her best friend as well as her sister.
But how great she can ask that of you. How great that she can talk to you.
Yeah.
Because there are other families where that's not the case. And the person would say, you know, let's not go there.
No, we talk about it.
Yeah, and that's healthy.
And there's so many things that she does that are just like what her mom would do.
And I'll bet that makes her so happy to hear that.
Yeah. It makes me thrilled to see it, you know, because I don't know. It's one of those things I can't imagine not being able to talk about it, and I think she felt that way for a lot of those years.
You know, Susie, one of the things that's been really rather magical is that in our evening groups, as I said, we have the adults in one room and the children in another. One of the things that the adults have reported to us is that when they drive home after the group, they have really meaningful conversations with their kids. You know, and those conversations would not likely have come to the surface had they not both been in the groups that night.
Right.
So it's rich.
Yeah. Watching television or listening to music or doing your school studies or whatever, Mom doing dishes in the kitchen doesn't really lend itself to this kind of a discussion.
Exactly.
But the drive home is perfect.
It's perfect. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So
I mean, I'm so thrilled with what I saw on your calendar and excuse me, and how this is blossoming, because I know that this is near and dear to your heart, obviously, to be able to bring this to the folks of Maui. And when you gave that number of 1,900 children that have had someone in their life or were affected by this.
That's just parent or sibling.
Oh, that's not friends?
No, that's parent or sibling. And when you bring it to Hawaii, I can tell you right now the number of kids in our school groups who are there because they were close to their grandfather or their grandmother or their uncle or their auntie, and that's the person who died.
Oh.
It's
that
remarkable.
Number goes crazy.
Yeah, I just don't even know what it would be.
Yeah. As well as the extended aunties and so forth, and so on.
But those are important people to these kids.
They are.
And so it's really wonderful that they have a place where they can talk about the person.
So if someone wants to find out more about Nakeki Oemalia and what you're doing, how do they get a hold of you?
They can look at our website if they have access to a computer, and that would be www.nkoemaui.org. On it, they could learn about the program, and they could also find the contact numbers. They can contact me as Brooke, Brooke, at nkoemaui.org, or contact@nkoemaui.org, or phone me at 214-9832. And I'm happy to talk to anybody, answer any questions, and we're here to help.
And again, I think it's really important that we spread the word that this is a free service. This is supported by donations from people who understand the value of this program, and that those who are affected, there's no cost.
No, we're totally private donations also. We're not going for county, state, federal monies. And, you know, I just realized tomorrow, I forgot to say earlier, tomorrow is National Children's Grief Awareness Day. And that's one reason, you know, I'm sitting here, to just try to shine the spotlight on children's grief. But it is important. And if anybody feels so moved, I mean, we're happy to have donations at this time of year also, you know, because our program is free.
Right.
Yeah.
I just, again, every time you're on, I mean,
it's free, and we have a program to support.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It's every time you're on the show, I think about how great this is, and as you talk about the numbers of people, and those are children, 1,900
Under 18.
under 18.
Yeah.
So just magnify that by all of the adults, young adults, and adults who have kind of put this in a pocket or in a special place in their minds or hearts or whatever, and have tried to work beyond it by themselves. Hey, come on in.
You'd be surprised, you know, if you just talk to some of your acquaintances, your good friends you'd probably know about, but if you talk to some of your acquaintances and said, you know, did anybody close to you die when you were young? You'd be surprised how many people have had that, and it's just back there. And it's sometimes it's just a conversation. I spoke at a luncheon group once, and a woman came up to me. I don't know, she contacted me a couple of weeks later, and the talk had prompted her to phone her brother, who was in his 50s or 60s, and their parent had died when they were teens, and they'd never talked about it. And she called him, and that sparked a conversation that just took off, and he'd been carrying all sorts of stuff for years, decades. You know, it's that, but again, just if she hadn't asked him, it would have
Stayed there.
been carried forever. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I look back and I don't think there's anyone in my life that died until probably my grandmother, and I was like 22 when she died. So, you know, through those years, it was like, well, nothing to discuss. It would never happen. But that was a tough one when Grandma died, because nobody else had ever gone. Mm-hmm. And somebody passing, and you can't go running in the back door and say, Grandma, I'm here. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like, oh my gosh.
But kids here too, I mean, some of the groups, what we've seen, it's really difficult for kids because their world has been turned upside down. Not only have they lost the person, but many times they've been living on the mainland or another island, and the surviving parent has moved back here because this is where they have extended family. So that child has been uprooted from school, from peers, everything. So not only are they grieving the death of whoever it was, but all these other parts that are really important to kids.
Right. All the changes.
It's hard. I mean, so to have a place where they can talk about it with each other and others who are going through it, it's great. And they give each other suggestions. It's very cool.
Yeah.
We don't have the answers.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
They figure it out, but with a little bit of help from...
Yeah, and it's different for everybody. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's unique. Everybody's different, and there's no right or wrong way.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you, Susie, very much.
And have a very nice Thanksgiving. And
thank you.
And as she said, tomorrow is National Children's Grief Awareness Day. It's not a day to celebrate.
It's a day to be mindful of children's grief.
There you go.
Yeah. A bunch of kids started it 8 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they saw a lot of their students, their cohort, grieving and having problems. And so they decided they wanted to call attention to these problems that some of these grieving students had.
Interesting.
Yeah, it started back in Pennsylvania.
So one of these days we might have something happen here on that day.
Yeah, I tried this year, but it didn't get off the ground.
Not quite yet.
We're too small. I need more help.
There you go. Okay, and you look for volunteers to help with to get the training to.
Yeah, I take people's names. We do 1 or 2 trainings a year for facilitators, and as we grow, we're I needed help stuffing envelopes recently. I mean, they're just. I can see more and more things coming. So if anybody's interested, they can give me a call. I'd happily take their names or talk to them. And if anybody has a skill set that I'm not even thinking about that might be valuable, call and let me know. I'm happy to write it down.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Susie.
Okay, Brooke. We're going to shift gears and talk about Maui Adult Daycare Centers. Gosh, what is there to say about it? I think the title says it all.
Thank you,
What do you think,
Susie?
Suzanne?
I agree with you 100%.
And
Aloha.
it's I'm going to let you introduce your guest,
Yes,
so we can bring her into the conversation here.
that would be great. Well, aloha, everyone. My name is Suzanne Antoni, and I'm the Executive Director of Maui Adult Daycare Centers here on Maui, of course. We have 5 centers that care for our elderly, and I'm here today with my very, very good friend, Patricia Watson.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hi.
Susie.
Hi, Patricia.
And we're very excited to talk about a program that we've had going on, our Friday night social sundowning program. But we've revamped it a little bit, and Patricia is helping us out. And we're here to tell you a little bit about that. I like to say, just sitting here listening to Brooke and with her talking about grieving for children from the ages of 3 to 18, Maui Adult Daycares can take it a step further. We also have support groups, monthly support groups that are done by Kathleen Couch. And so many of our members of our support groups at our different centers come in and they're either caring for a loved one who is ill, or they don't know what to do, or someone has passed on. And, the support groups are for everyone, not just, if they've passed away. They're more than welcome to come and join us. And Kathy's services, they just do a wonderful job, and we can help with the grief that family members and caregivers are going through, too. So a location close to you.
There we go. With 5 centers, you've got you're on in Kahului, in Kihei, in
Lahaina, Kahului, Kihei, Ocean View, or Wailuku, Lahaina, and Hana.
And the one in Kahului that you call Ocean View is on Beach Road?
Yep. Lower Beach Road. It's part of the Nisei Veterans Memorial Center. We're on the top floor there. And
you got the view.
Yeah, we sure did. What a view. We got the wind, too.
Oh, okay.
But what a view. It's beautiful there.
It is. Now, when we talk about the adult care centers, we're talking about day type. I mean, individual single day services, or you can come every day for the week or the month or whatever, but it's not a stay.
No overnight staying there. We're a daytime service provider. Like our Ocean View Center in Wailuku is open from 6:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. And they service more of our independent kopuna. Then we have our Kahului Center. It's more moderate to low functioning. We're open there 7 days a week. So Monday through Friday, Monday through Thursday from 6:30 till 6. Fridays, we're open from 6:30 till 9 because we have our social program that's going on there, because caregivers need a break and they might, this time of year, they might want to do a little Christmas shopping or date night, or just need some time alone, and that's why we brought Patricia in. So we're open on Fridays in Kahului till 9, and Saturday and Sundays in Kahului. Saturdays from 7:30 to 4:30, and Sundays from 8:30 to 4:30. And then we have Kihei and Lahaina that are open Monday through Saturday, Monday through Friday from 6:30 till 6, and Saturdays in Kihei and Lahaina from 7:30 till 4:30. So our only center that's open up on Sundays is our Kahului Center, but a lot of the clients come from all the other centers and join us on Sundays in Kahului. So I feel like I should take a test on that and see if I could get 100%.
Well, it sounded good to me.
Thank you.
But I'm sure if somebody wants particulars, they can give you a call, or somebody a call. Where should they call?
Absolutely. Our main office number is at the Kahului Center, and the phone number is 808-871-5804. Again, one more time, 808-871-5804. Or you can find us. We revamped our website. It's www.mnpd11.14.18.
And it's a great website. Easy to get around, easy to find things. I was looking at things this morning, and after the break, we're going to talk about some of the things I found.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, your weekly radio show where we talk story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors to find out what's going on in their world. And the second half of our show today, we're talking with Suzanne
Antonian.
What? I always want to say Antonio. Antonian.
Armenian.
There you go. If I remember that. Yeah, it goes on there now. Who's executive director of the Maui Adult Daycare Centers. And one of the things I found on your website was the Kahului lunch menu. Hello. Boy, that's a nice menu.
Right?
Good food.
Oh, when you walk in there and you smell all the food, oh my gosh, it makes you really hungry.
Man, I guess. Shoot, just go for the lunch. No, they can't. They need to come for the day, right?
You know, you can come anytime. You don't have to be there the whole day. Our pricing is the least expensive in the state of Hawaii. We're the only licensed daycare here on Maui. We couldn't provide the services without all the help from MEO, who provides our transportation, Kanoa Senior Services, who provides the lunches, and Halemaho'olu, the schools, Loki'ilani, Lahaina helps us out with the lunches. And then, of course, our wonderful and dedicated staff. They are just unbelievable that prepare and make sure everyone has their snacks and their lunch throughout the day. But, yeah, you can come for 12 hours, 10 hours, 2 hours, whatever, whatever you would like, yes.
Well, that's great.
Yes.
You're nothing but flexible.
Very, very flexible. Flexible with my day, not my body.
Gotcha. But that's what you need because of the folks who are taking care of these elderly folks. Could be their parents, could be aunts or uncles, whoever they're caring for. As you said earlier, the Friday night you go a little longer because that gives the caregiver some time off. Did I see that you've got a big caregiver seminar coming up this weekend?
Oh, we have that. Yes, we do.
I'm sure you're sold out.
I'd like to say that we were putting it on, but it's through Maui County Office on Aging. It is at the Grand Wailea on Friday from like 8:30 till 3:30. It is the most informative conference for caregivers, family members. Even if you're not there yet, it's always good to be prepared. They put on a wonderful program and very informational, and all of our community partners are there. You can get information. It's always good to stay on top of things in case you need the services.
Right.
Yes.
Interesting. And that's they call it the 17th annual, so obviously it's been going on for several years.
Yes.
And I'm intrigued. It says it's continental breakfast, the buffet lunch, and it's like, whoa, you're going to feed these people. Will they fall asleep?
Hopefully not. We'll have to do some ice breaking and some exercises in between.
I gotcha.
I would like to just say one thing about that. I mentioned it last year. So the very first Maui County Office on Aging Caregivers Conference, I did when I was manager at Kalama Heights Retirement Community.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just a small group of people. It was the County Office on Aging, and we had some community partners with tables. I think there were maybe like 40 or 50 people. Now they're in the Grand Wailea Ballroom. So I feel like I had something to do with that.
You aged a lot of people.
Yeah, 17 years ago. I had brown hair.
It's all about the startup.
Yes, yeah.
Somebody's got to start it, and obviously this got off to a great start.
Yes.
That it's continued and grown like it has. And this is for the caregivers.
Caregivers, even if you're a client, more independent, you can go. The nice thing about this conference, say a caregiver needs to attend and they need to go, but they're caring for a family member, Maui Adult Daycare Centers on Friday will accept any of the family members that are being cared for. Oh. They can come to any of our centers at any of our locations, no charge, free of cost. We need to just have an emergency card filled out in case there's an emergency.
Right.
But we will care for them during the day, introduce them to Maui Adult Daycares and our activities, and this way caregivers or family members are at ease knowing their loved one is taken care of, and they can enjoy the conference. So
wonderful. And it also introduces them to your services, especially like you said, respite care.
Yes.
When you're talking about, I just need a break. How can I do this? You're there for them.
Yes.
So let's talk about talking about lunch. Hello. Let's talk about, I can't get past that. Friday nights for the next, 3 more weeks?
Yeah, for the 3 more weeks, and we're hoping to do it in December. We're kind of have a new saying, Maui Adult Daycare is fun for seniors. We're trying to introduce more activities, fun things to do. It's the holidays, we're decorating, and as part of that, our Friday night program, we're trying to make it not only can a caregiver go out and have a night out, or date night, or do their Christmas shopping, but we purchase tablecloths. We're making a nice dinner for them with some Martinelli cider, and it's actually clients' night out. So, and on top of that, we have the very best entertainment on the island with Patricia. We've provided everyone with wooden spoons, tambourines, drum sets. And Patricia, you can talk a little bit about
the key to entertaining older people, especially when they really don't care about the things that most people care about. The key to it is participation. Very hard to participate when you don't know the songs, or there's no energy to them, or they're slow, or there's nothing they can do. It was the Dalai Lama who said to me, to put new information into people, you have to first move their molecules. So on my ships, I use chopsticks. Well, I discovered playing at a lot of hospice and older people centers, they can't hold chopsticks, but they can hold a wooden spoon. And they can hold the thing, and they start to hit, and they're hitting the tables, they're hitting glasses. We even have pots and pans out there, drums, toy drums, tambourines. Then they start getting up, dancing, and really, it's such a carefree environment of beautiful people. We even did the wheelchair hula, and singing sukiyaki for our Japanese clients that are there, and amazing what they will jump in and sing. Some people like Frank Sinatra, some like Elvis Presley, but they all like the old ones, and I pride myself in knowing them all. Thank you to my mother and father for keeping us around the piano when we were kids.
Right.
And all this. And when I met Suzanne years ago, back at Kalama Heights, she said, come and play. I had been playing seniors' homes for a while, just as that's my gift. I would like to give back. And I discovered the ones in Maui were so much more full of joy and caring than anywhere else in North America that I had been, including the very, very wealthy ones in places like Las Vegas and in Toronto and LA. The ones here, they care. They care for the people. They hold their hands. They make them laugh. They're moving with them. They're feeding them. The auntie, uncle, they're calling them. And they bring children in. I've seen, it's just the most beautiful, heartwarming, aloha spirit. So for me to come back and work with Suzanne again and do these Friday nights, people bring your kapuna out, bring them out, go shopping, leave them with us, and we'll make them have a good time.
We had this last Friday because MEO picks up the clients, at the end of the regular day, and it was almost like a war because no one wanted to leave. It was just really something. And now I even have letters on my desk right now from family members saying, oh, can my loved one stay on Friday night because they don't want to go home. Patricia is just awesome. I have one of my staff members, John. I wish I could say I'm technically genius, but he put us live on Facebook, and it was just, it was quite a party.
Wow.
So, yes.
And the food is great after.
There you go.
Really good food, and everybody's still buzzing, and they're talking to each other, and that's sweet.
Yeah.
That's neat, and can't wait for the next one.
Yeah. So this Friday.
Yeah.
5:30 to 6:30 is when the music starts, but it goes on. It starts
Till 9. So we do that, and then we there's 5:30 to 6:30 entertainment. I don't know who she's fooling. She usually plays till 7. And then we make a nice dinner, and we all sit down together, family style. And then they either watch a movie or do some arts and crafts. So until it's time. Our sundowning program, we also, for family members that need it, part of the program is we give showers, get them ready for bed, brush their teeth. So that way when the caregiver comes to pick up mom, dad, auntie, uncle, they're all prepared to go from Maui Adult Daycare into their home and go to sleep.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so that works out really, really nice. And we would not be able to do this without Patricia's generosity. She is just amazing. I was telling her she should talk about, she's only here 6 months out of the year. She does all the cruise ships, 3 to 6 months out of the year. She does the cruise ships.
in Europe,
Yeah, in Europe. And if anyone's looking for holiday entertainment, oh my gosh, definitely you should put your phone number.
No, I'll give you yours.
I'm her manager.
She could be my
But you're right. The old songs are the best ones, and they're the sing-along kind. And I think you mentioned earlier you grew up singing around the piano.
Yes.
And I can remember some really good times when we did the same thing at my house.
Well, you should have a party at your house then. I've got a keyboard. You just need to invite. The key is the crazy friends. You can't have friends that want to come and talk about, their nails. They want to actually let loose and get crazy, and Suzanne's great at that.
I happened to come along a good deal on a baby grand piano a few years ago. And I always had an annual Christmas party where people were invited. All the different things I'm involved in. Come on over, because you got to say thank you somehow. And so there was this. I'm just going to say a council member who came and saw the piano and sat down and started playing. And wow, that's really great. We got to get the people back into this room and get them singing. And she said, well, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean you don't know? She says, I turned on the player, because it had a player on the piano, and she was just kind of faking it, right? And she says, I don't know what song is going to come up next. And she said, what happens? And so everybody who walked by there just said, wow, you are good, And she was pretty close with, at least she was on the right end of the piano, whether it was treble or bass, right? And but there was this one song, I can't remember now what it was, but the person who recorded the piano playing always had to do something a little extra at the end. Like if the song ended on kind of a down note, they'd go, kind of thing in the treble. She lifted her hands, and these people are all standing there waiting, cause they thought it was the end of the song, right? She lifted her hands, and she started to do something, and all of a sudden there's this, and they go, oh, come on now. What have you been doing?
These magic moments.
Woo, yeah. She got found out, but it was so much fun because they were all singing along and so forth. But
my friend and I, Lydia Panzik, we were hired by Marek Lieberberg, who also lives on island, one of the biggest promoters in the world, to go and do his wife's birthday party in Germany, and I played, and then Roger Hodgson from Supertramp was the guest act. And at the end of the night, Marek comes over to me and said, go get Roger and sit at the grand piano in the middle, and let's everybody come around that's left till 4 a.m. And I wanted Roger to play, and Roger kept saying, no, you know way more songs than me. So what happened was Roger was sitting next to me, and Lydia on the other side. We sang 3-part harmonies all night to all the Beatles, Eagles, Carole King, Christmas songs. It was unbelievable. That's fun. That's the kind.
And that's the only, and around the piano is the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't work to sit on the couch in the living room and start singing.
Or with an iPad and a laptop.
Oh gosh, yes. We got to call it quits. We've run out of time. But thank you, Suzanne.
Thank
and thank
you
you
so
for
much.
joining us.
Can their friend, like their family, come and sing with us too if they want to?
Absolutely. The more the merrier.
Okay. And that's from 5:30 to 6:30. Stretching into 7
Fridays.
most
Yep.
of the time.
Every Friday.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
One more time, your phone number, Suzanne?
Please give us a call at 808-871-5804. If you have any concerns, questions, you need support, resources, we want to be the ones that you call. Even if you don't have a family member that comes into Maui Adult Daycare, we're there for you for assistance.
They are the best. No kauai for sure.
Thank you very much for joining us today and sharing what goes on at the Maui Adult Daycare Centers. Oh my goodness, we're that late. Oh, I got 1 minute to wrap it up.
He's dancing.
Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to you all. Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Please give Paul and his staff a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. Today we visited with Nakeki Oemalia and Maui Adult Daycare Centers and got an update on what's happening at those agencies. We want to thank you all again for tuning in. Don't forget to join us again next week, same time, same place, when we'll have 2 other member agencies on the hot seat. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye, Susie.
Aloha.
Aloha.